My name's Jason Evans. I work for a manufacturing company. I wouldn't say I grew up in a religious background. I certainly didn't. My mum, my dad, none of my family go to church, and none of my friends do either. So it's a pretty secular upbringing, and yet, like most people, I think I always felt there must be something more. There was always that yearning, and I'm sure there are many stories where people say they filled it with drink, drugs, or whatever. I wouldn't say I've ever had an addiction or anything like that, but certainly filling it with anything else, relationships, going out on a Friday, whatever. And yet, one relationship to another, or one club to another, it never seemed to really satisfy me. And in the morning, there's still something else. The last 16 years of my life, I've really have been seeking. Well, what is this yearning I have inside me? I need to know, and that's been through books. That's been through tampering around with any sort of Eastern mysticism I can find, as many people do. And I've kind of read up on all of the major religions, and I read up on all of the crystals and whatever, and yet always kept coming back to Jesus Christ. That was the character, that was the person. This is what he says seems to ring true. This is important stuff. So I attended a few Seekers meetings over the last sort of 16 years and just tried to get involved in it. Some were successful, some not, but something would always get in the way and stop me. I'd be like, well, I was kind of into it for a week and then dismiss it for another year. But so last year, I decided to take it a lot more seriously and really researched hard, and the internet's a wonderful resource for that. And just any question I had, Google it. What is the answer? There's 5, 6, 7, 100 different answers. And through that, you cross-reference it and think, actually, that makes sense to me. This does stand up, because I have a cynical nature. So I think to myself, yeah, but that could mean that could mean that. But the more I researched, the more it seemed to be standing up that this is true. I spoke to a friend probably about 2 years ago now, who mentioned that they'd been on an Alpha course, which really helped them. Even though they were a lifelong Christian. So I thought, well, okay, let's have a look at that, because although I was quite clear that actually this makes sense to me, I wasn't used to going to a church. So what Alpha did for me was that I could get used to being in a Christian surrounding. I could be in a church, but actually there with kind of like-minded people as well. Great company, and you get to meet people, so that actually when you arrive in church on a Sunday, you do know some people, which I think is quite important. So that kind of helped. So although I was sort of already there, if you like, it just sort of helped me really push and make that next step, which possibly I may not have done without the Alpha course. I formally committed my life to Christ, I would say, about a year ago now. I know most people can remember the exact day, I can't. but it was there was a prayer during Alpha that we pray that really helped. But I think I pretty much kind of done that before then. But it would be about a year ago when I seriously said, no, this is it. This is the right path to follow, and this is the one that I want to follow. My life in the last year has changed quite dramatically, actually. There's been some mixed reaction when I've told people. On the whole, people are actually quite nonchalant about it. They don't really mind. But there has been some strange reaction as well, where I have had a couple of friends kind of disown me for a couple of months, but they're okay now. What I found actually is that as time goes on, more and more people are actually asking me questions about it, and I think they're becoming more interested, which is great for me. But myself personally, there's definitely been an inner change, if you like. I was certainly less emotional than I have been in the last year. I'm amazed actually how things affect me now. I get affected in a very emotional way, which is very strange for me, or was very strange. I'm getting used to it now. But things can move me to tears a lot faster. You know, any injustice can move me to tears a lot faster than it used to. I used to listen to the radio and it would wash over my head. Now I can find myself, you know, actually welling up with emotion. And for me, it has to be from the moment that I committed to Christ. That moment, something happened, and I could feel the injustice. The best thing about being a Christian is the feeling you get inside, and it's a feeling that you don't know until you commit yourself to Jesus Christ. Because when you do, there is something inside you that changes, and you're just full of life. And that's the best thing about being a Christian.